Hello, me lovelies. Well, I just thought I'd do this video explaining more why I'm so annoyed and disgusted with MMA philosophy. Look, I've said in my first one, if Paddy Conroy or anyone else wants to have Shadow Boxer on their platform, that's up to them. I've got no qualms with that. If someone wants to think that Shadow Boxer is innocent after reading the paperwork or listening to what he says, that's up to them. I've got no qualms with that. What I do take exception to is when a man turns out to be an apologist for all men who are accused or convicted of violating a woman. And that's exactly what MMA philosophy is, an apologist for all men that do that. And what I mean by that, if you want to test what I mean by is an apologist, take out the name Shadow Boxer from what he's saying in his video and what he says on his community post. You could apply it to all men who are accused or convicted of violating women. Not just Shadow Boxer, all of them. That's by definition an apologist. What he's saying and what he's putting forward is the argument that all women should be considered to be liars. That's right, there's no doubt about it. All should be liars, and that's why I've gone in hard on him. And all that I'll say to Shadow Boxer is, I know you've retweeted him saying now he's wonderful. I'd be very, very careful, especially if you're trying to convince people that you're innocent and you want to go to an appeal or whatever you're saying you're going to. Because if someone's to pull out and say, oh, but this person that Shadow Boxer is patting on the back is an apologist for all men who violate women, that won't go in your favour. Because what it's saying is you agree with what MMA philosophy says, that every single man who is accused of it should be considered innocent and the woman considered to be a liar at all times. Try taking that into account. So if I was you and you want to build your reputation, I'd say, oh no, wait a minute. Thank you for saying I'm innocent, but I don't agree with your philosophy here that somehow all men who are accused of it are innocent and all women are liars. So bye-bye, on your way. That's what I'd do in that situation. Oh, and by the way, Paddy, I saw this comment on your live by NUFC 1892, who's been around for a long time. Right, a long time. Mandragine having a go at MMA and Paddy for their view on Shadow. No, I haven't. Said, you want to think he's innocent, that's up to you. But MMA philosophy is an apologist. That's going much further. That's apologising for everyone, as I've explained. And explain Bill Maloney amnesty for speedophiles. Your best buddy and that group. Really? Well, thank you for putting that out, NUFC 1892, because I think you'll find the first person who called Bill Maloney out, and I'll play it at the end here, was me. This video is from quite a few years back when I called him out, but thank you for letting me show that I am no Bill Maloney fan. Thank you, NUFC.
Amnesty for paedophiles. Amnesty for paedophiles. Amnesty for paedophiles.
What?
Amnesty for paedophiles.
What you talking about?
Amnesty. Amnesty. Amnesty for paedophiles.
I would like to see a kind of amnesty for everybody who's been up to these practices and to be rehabilitated, restored into the mainstream of the human community.
Hello, me lovelies. Well, that made interesting viewing, didn't it? That was Bill Maloney and Belinda McKenzie asking for an amnesty for paedophiles. Now, Belinda McKenzie got away with that quite lightly, you know. It was Bill Maloney who got slam dunked over saying that. Now, Bill Maloney, for those who don't know, was hero worshipped. Oh, again, I said well before, don't hero worship him. Don't hate. There's something, he's out to get what he wants. He's not genuinely concerned about child sex abuse or exploitation. He just wanted to get his pie and mash films off the ground. That's all he wanted. Now, people were all, oh, Bill Maloney, hero. Yeah. Oh, Simon Danchuk, hero. Yeah. Oh, Carl Beach, I believe, Nick, hero. Yeah. Do you see a trend here? That's been held up as a hero has turned out to be a shit at the end of the day. Because they're using it, they're doing it for themselves, not for any victims or survivors. And that's why I say, once you start finding yourself defending someone like Bill or Belinda McKenzie or anyone else, John Wedger, anyone else, going on how wonderful they are, how perfect they are, and refusing to listen to any information that says otherwise, get out of the child exploitation and child sex abuse arena, because you're dangerous and you're not wanted. Leave it up to sensible people who do ask questions so they can unmask whether someone is seriously campaigning for that or just campaigning to see what they can get out of it. Because usually when it's the latter, they're going to cause terrible devastation. Terrible devastation. Well, anyway, what would an amnesty for paedophiles actually mean? Now, what Bill Maloney wanted was that these paedophiles would come forward and say, yes, I'm a paedophile and I was involved in this paedophile ring, and give information, right, about these rings. Now, do you think he wanted that because it would help survivors or victims? No, because an amnesty would also mean that if any victims came along and said, I was abused by that paedophile, what they'd be told is, oh, I'm sorry, that paedophile came forward during an amnesty and you can't do anything now. You'll just have to live with the fact that we were abused and get off with it. But Bill would have a good film to make. A few films to make. So who's benefit from it? Victims of child sex exploitation or Bill Maloney and Pie and Mash films? Well, Bill Maloney and Pie and Mash films would. And as for Belinda McKenzie, who would benefit there? Certainly not the victims again. No chance. No, she'd benefit. Because she'd say, you see what I was saying about these satanic ritual abuse circles are all true. It's all true. But again, the victims wouldn't be getting any justice. They'd be cut off. Totally no justice whatsoever. And also, it's a ridiculous scenario. Why the hell would anyone, a paedophile, go for an amnesty? Because it's obvious if they want to go forward for an amnesty, that means they're not on the police radar. They're not being watched. Because they wouldn't be offered an amnesty if the police already knew about it, about the crimes they were getting up to. That wouldn't happen. So it's never going to happen. You'd never get anyone coming forward. But say that you had a paedophile in the campaigning industry. Now, I'm not talking about Bill Maloney. I'm not talking about Belinda. I'm not talking about John Wedger, who I'll get on to in a minute. I'm not saying that they're paedophiles. I'm not saying that one bit. But what I'm saying is, say that someone in the campaigning arenas was, look, Carl Beach, that was called Survivor, a campaigner who did the Wall of Silence. Do you remember the Wall of Silence with all the faces of survivors of sexual exploitation and sexual abuse up there? He was the campaigner, wasn't he? And what did we find out about him? Paedophile, which people were warned and totally ignored that he was a paedophile, and now he's serving 18 years in the slammer for being a liar and a fantasist, because he was getting what he wanted out of it. So you have to be wary of this. An amnesty could be set up so that certain individuals could go along, creep along and say, oh, I did this, knowing that they might be caught at some point, get off with it and then carry on in the campaigning industry, going on, oh, I'm okay. Also what it means is that if they apply for a job, it wouldn't be on the criminal record check. See what I'm saying? Very strange for campaigners who are going on about the poor victims, or in John Wedger's case, the poor child prostitutes or child whores or sluts, whatever he likes to call them. You know, I prefer the term, victims of child sex exploitation, but he doesn't like that apparently. It's too nice for him and too caring for him. Now, what about John Wedger? And anyone that knows me knows I have my radar up with John Wedger. I've had it up with John Wedger for a while now. Because, sorry, I'm ex-police myself, right? I worked for the police. And what he's telling you out there, it's the truth mixed with a hell of a lot of exaggeration and a hell of a lot of scaremongering. And a hell of a lot of, oh, I'm a hero, look at this, I'm fighting child sex exploitation that has Satanism involved. Nah, don't fall for it, people. But anyway, what he said, I was going to put the recording on here because someone kindly sent it to me, but it's too poor quality and I need to talk about it. But what John Wedge is basically saying is repatriation for paedophiles. In other words, instead of letting the law deal with them, this is an ex-CID officer, people. Instead of letting the law deal with them, hand it back to the paedophile and let them decide what should be done. Are you kidding me? So you get the paedophile and you say, right, what do you think should be done to stop you doing it again? Not like let the law prosecute you. So what's he going on? Why is he saying that yet at the same time claiming that he's trying to help these child prostitutes, child whores, John? He's crying out about these poor victims. Yet he's bleeding well saying that if they got hold of the people that were exploiting them, they'd be asked, well, what should you do? What should we do? Oh, wake up, people. You've got to start asking questions of what you consider to be your heroes. There's no such thing as a hero. There's no such thing as a hero. And even if someone was a hero, they'd be mortified. Absolutely mortified if you called them that. They'd be embarrassed and shrink away from us. They'd be mortified. Because that's what a true hero would do. If you want to find out if John Wedger would be mortified if you called him a hero, just tweet to him, oh, I think you should get a knighthood, John, for all your good work. Oh, he'll be retweeting that like mad. Oh yeah, that's what he wants. He wants his knighthood. But somehow I think that John Wedger's getting in line for being built up and then knocked down by the press, because once they get hold of that demons, demonically possessed people thing, they'll have a field day with them, an absolute field day. Absolutely. So anyway, darlings, just remember, you don't need heroes. Especially question the people you admire, because there's remember that I call it the chitty chitty bang bang scenario. Robert Helpman, when he was the child catcher. Oh, Robert Helpman. Oh, I knew him many years ago, Robert Helpman, an amazing man. But Robert Helpman as the child catcher, what does he do to get the children? He offers them sweets. He's colourful. He offers them treacle tart and all sorts to get them to get into his wagon. Well, that's what you've got to be wary of. Because someone appears to be the answer to every survivor of child sex abuse dreams, doesn't mean that they are. Just remember that. So, I'll say goodbye, darlings.